all right. I transitioned right into it.
Oh no fancy.
No fancy countdown, no nothing.
You caught me off guard, Gringo. I was drinking some water.
Oh no, what are we doing? Oh,
I thought I had some time on
just
my
your
hands.
dad screwing on things up again.
Hit transition again.
Can't redo that one.
No.
Usually we have the nice countdown time where, a little
Yeah,
music.
as I say, yeah. We had a little time.
I hit the wrong button. Hey,
Go over the schedule.
I'm almost, I'm old. So what are you gonna do? It's what I blame being tired. We would have been on earlier today, except for we were attacked by a swarm of mosquitoes.
A lot of
honestly, I've never seen it got to be a couple hundred of mosquitoes.
Yeah, I mean, my bathroom alone was at least like 60.
Yeah, so we live in a mountain in Mexico, and these things I think they're on PEDs, to be honest with you, because as many that got into our house, when we looked on the window, and they were just blanketing our window just to get in. I'm like, that's not good. So,
No, they were eager.
Yeah, they were
They were looking
eager.
at their family outside.
I mean, they were tough.
It was like the border. You got Jose on one side.
Wow. You went there. Anyways,
he's like, I got papers. You don't.
They were pretty tough. You'd hit them, you'd step on them, and the thing would still be going. Zzz. I'm like,
you're dead.
You died.
Please.
These things are on PEDs. I swear to God. So we are here. We're a little bit later than usual, but we got plenty to talk about. South of the border, we got politics, we got pop culture. We're gonna start with pop culture with a movie that we recently seen. By the way, my girlfriend's back. Amelia Perez. We got to talk about her.
I thought they shoved her in a closet.
Nope.
Isn't that funny? Ironic. Came out of the closet. Now it's back in the closet.
Well, she's back. Anyway,
back again.
So let's get into it.
Why can't people just stay put away?
It's been an interesting day. It really has been. Okay, so let's see if I get this one right. Okay.
You're gonna transition?
I'm gonna transition.
There's no fancy transition.
I want to hit the right
button.
button.
It's just a slide.
I'm going to hit the right
just
button.
Just a wave.
I swear to you, I'm going to hit the right button. Hey, there we go. We got it. Good. Okay. So, Captain America Brave New World. Now, we've given our reviews, both spoiler and non-spoiler on this. We've talked about it. We don't have anything particularly against the film, like some people do, I get it.
I think it's important. No, I'm joking.
I mean, yeah, he's not Captain America. He's not Steve Rogers. He's not my Captain America. But I still went out to support the film because, I do love Marvel and I want to see if they, pumped out a good movie, especially with the Red Hulk, one of my favorites.
And Anthony
recently.
Mackie. No one likes no one hates Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, you really can't not like. Well, I mean, he did say some things that were kind of like. He was given an interview a couple weeks ago where he talked about Captain America doesn't mean America to me anymore. It's like, well, it's Captain America. You actually wear the flag.
Well, he doesn't. He used to have a helmet that had an A, not him, but he's Captain.
So, he got some flack. So I didn't really like that, but it is what it is. But just on the merits of the movie, if you can see, here's our box office mojo. It's up to $289 million worldwide, and that's a terrible thing for this movie, which it's budgeted. Listen, the true budget for this thing's around $400 million.
Sunday's passed. That's it. That's essentially it. I mean, it's not it totally, but I mean, that's it like substantially.
Here's what you got. Okay, so it opened President's Day. That was, it didn't open President's Day. It opened
the weekend.
Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
And it did all this money here. It did. It grossed 40 million, 63 million, something like that. And week over week, it had an almost 70%, 68.5% drop week over week. That is terrible for a movie that needs to have legs to be able to make money, to make the money back. It is not gonna. This film doesn't make.
Oh yeah, no, it kept losing half and half.
Yeah, so
except for what was it? Oh, a week drop, I guess maybe. Yeah. Well, no. 15 to 16 would be the kind of odd exception.
It dropped 70% from Friday over Friday. It dropped 36% Saturday over Saturday. That's pretty bad too. Yeah. But a little bit more acceptable. And it dropped another almost 50% Sunday over Sunday. Listen, this movie's not going to make $400 million. If it doesn't, it barely ekes it out. They're going to have to keep it in theaters. Theaters are going to start basically pushing it out the door as soon as newer movies get in, because they want the screens if they're not making any money off this thing. So this movie's going to lose a lot.
The only thing they have going for them is, again, not many films come out this month. Even in March.
I mean,
what comes out in March?
Here's the list of films that I wrote down I wrote them down somewhere.
We can kind of speak for the foreign market, not so much for the domestic market.
Well, I was going by domestic market, but
since we're in Mexico,
Snow White that comes March 21st.
But still, that's like a couple weeks away. You really want to see a movie? This is the only option.
Oh, Mickey 17 comes out. That's a movie I want to see. Mickey 17. All right, we got here's a March movie list. Here's like the movies that I want to see to review because I'm interested in them. Queen of the Ring, which is let's go to
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry,
just go to IMDb. Queen of the Ring, just so everybody knows what Queen of the Ring is. It is a wrestling movie.
Is this about what's her name?
I forget who. She's basically one of the most famous female wrestlers of all time. And that's gonna play. We just put it down here so it doesn't play the video. So Emily Brett Rickards, who everybody knows from Green Arrow, the series Green Arrow, she was Felicity. That's her name, Felicity.
Oh yeah, Felicity. Yeah.
Well, she got all buffed up. I mean, if you look at the poster, I'm not sure if that's CGI'd in there, but that's she got pretty buffed up there to play this
female
wrestler, who's one of the first female wrestlers, even when female wrestling was illegal. She became the first female $1 million athlete. So, yeah, I love wrestling. I love wrestling history, so I do want to see it. And she was always entertaining as Felicity on Arrow. So, yeah, give it a shot. Mickey 17 comes out. Black Bag, which is sort of more of a drama spy thing. Novocaine, which is a ripoff of Kick-Ass. Snow White then on the 21st. Ash, Women in the Yard. Death of a Unicorn with Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd. Looks like one of those surrealism kind of things, but hey, check it out.
Acquired Taste.
Yeah, and then you got April coming up, Minecraft, the Minecraft movie. And I never played Minecraft. You played Minecraft. How do you feel about the Minecraft movie?
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah,
it looks horrible.
Oh, I'm sorry about them. I'm sorry. Now it's your turn to have your childhood ruined. Welcome to
It's too soon.
And it's something called Freaky Tales, but I don't know. We'll see. It's got Tom Hanks.
You forgot your other movie.
What's that?
What was it? The monkey one?
Oh, the monkey, that's out now, I think. I think that just came out this week. We haven't had a chance to go see it. We've been so busy moving in a new house and everything like that.
So we're going to make you see it.
I know you're going to make me see it.
You're going to love it.
But it really all comes down to Captain America, Brave New World, Marvel's first big release of the year. Yeah. Disney's first big release of the year.
It's falling flat on its face. I mean,
and they're going to lose a lot of money on it. And everybody predicted this. I mean, you can call haters on YouTube, but you can't really...
Can't say they were wrong.
They weren't wrong.
They were right.
They're absolutely correct. So we'll see where it goes from here. Obviously, this is going to be another ding in the armor of Marvel. And we're going to talk about Marvel versus DC because we have an article later on about James Gunn, and he gave an update on DC and upcoming stuff. And I really liked what he had to say. And I think he kind of dissected, I think from his time of being in Marvel, I think he kind of dissected a little bit of what some of the problems are with Marvel now. It has nothing to do with the woke and all that crap because I think that is what it is. I think it's gotten down to the process and rushing things out. But James Gunn had some real interesting things to say. But other than that, Brave New World, if you haven't seen it and you want to see it, go ahead and check out our reviews on it. But I mean, 70% drop week over week is not a good thing.
No.
70% drop just says, hey, your movie's not going to go anywhere and do anything. And it's not.
You're lucky if you break even.
Be lucky if you break even.
Essentially.
So couldn't happen.
It had so much potential.
It had so much potential.
Because I think they understood they were coming from a hard place, sure, with the Disney Plus series. But then they overcomplicated their problem by thinking they had to relate it to the Eternals and everything else.
Well, they tried to wrap up so many storylines, and then they tried to get cute by, look at us, we're going to wrap up the storyline from 2 decades ago with the leader and the Red Hulk and Green Hulk. First of all, it was more. It was like having a Hulk movie and no Hulk. Okay, the leader is the Hulk's greatest enemy in the comic book. So to have the leader in a movie without the Hulk to begin with, it was a little weird for me. I was like, oh, okay, but even though I like the Red Hulk, and the way they did the Red Hulk is just not. Check out the video I did on the Red Hulk's origins.
Not conducive to what it is.
It's very different. Well, I shouldn't say very different. It is different. It is. It doesn't. It kind of gets to the same place, but it doesn't get there the same way, and it kind of takes away the impetus of of the Red Hulk in the comics, where Thaddeus Ross as a character in the comic books did what he did to fight the Hulk. He did what he did out of hatred for the Hulk. He became the Red Hulk on purpose. He knew what he was doing. He was in bed with the leader. He was in bed with MODOK. He was in bed with all those villains and said, yes, hit me with all that gamma radiation and turn me into whatever it is so I can beat the Incredible Hulk. And so in this movie where you have him sort of like not be in control of that or not know what's happening or not know, kind of it be like, oh, we pulled the rug over your eyes. It sort of takes him out of that whole anti-hero kind of, you think about Punisher, you think about, characters like that are anti-heroes that can really skate between villain and hero, just depending on the day of the week. You really took a large part of that character away with this movie.
You also removed the intelligence of the character, essentially.
Yeah.
Because it's just...
Yeah, the Red Hulk is an intelligent character in the comics. He can talk, he can reason. He's got a brain. He's very articulate.
He wouldn't be egged on. I don't think you can't really egg him on into his anger like that. He's controlled. He's in control of his anger.
He can control his stuff, yeah.
He knows when he's angry, but he knows when it's appropriate to explode. So the way they did it just made him look like
in the comics,
a baby who's on a tantrum.
Yeah, in the comics, he's a straight up murderer. The first thing he does when he becomes the Red Hulk is kill the Abomination. Literally kill him. Beat him to the point where he cracks his skull and pulls out a gun and shoots the guy 5 times in the head. I mean, kills the Abomination. One of the other greatest villains for the Incredible Hulk. And the reason why he did that is because in the comics, the Abomination murders Betty Ross, his daughter, who's played like Liv Tyler in the movie here. So you get none of that. You get none of that storyline. Maybe they're going to have it later on. Of course, Betty Ross, they blast her with radiation in the comics. She becomes Red She-Hulk. So you've got you got She-Hulk, you got Red She-Hulk.
Oh, don't please! I don't want to see.
You won't see
She-Hulk.
No, you won't see that. You won't see She-Hulk. They shelved that.
I know they shelved it, but you know how Marvel is. Sometimes they go back on their word.
And they might.
They might.
But Brave New World, yeah. So as again, we'll just take a look at these numbers one last time. Worldwide, 289. Now they did gain about $50 million from international markets over the week. That's not a lot. If you really look at these international markets and what they grossed, you had France and Germany leading the pack. You had Italy, 5 million. You had Spain with another 4.5. United Kingdom was the big winner in Europe with 16. Mexico, of course, that was part of us. We contributed to that. And that's the thing. I will never review a movie or badmouth a movie or pump up a movie unless I've seen it, and if I paid money to see it too. I'm not one of those where some people will do that. Some people will.
Some people just read other people's reviews and then just.
Yeah.
I don't want to say copy and paste, but essentially.
Yeah.
Add to a fire that they don't even know if it's the right one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey. And you can tell that because guess what? Listen to me. I'm almost a 50-year-old man, and I really like Wicked. So, hey, I'm being honest. No, I wouldn't tell you. So, anyways, China got 13 million. So, of course, they were fighting Japan in the film, which the real enemy would have been China if you're going to make a realistic film.
Yeah, if it's going to be realistic, it's going to be China. Because, it's like India, Japan, and France are disagreeing with one another.
Yeah, we wouldn't give a crap.
we wouldn't really care.
We wouldn't give a damn.
I know half the things disappeared, but we got them all back.
So.
It's not like that nuclear arsenal disappears. It's not living.
No, it's not.
It's not living.
No. All right, so we got a couple more things. Hey, let's stick with Disney right now. And if you didn't see the trailer, this dropped today. And we watched it. Andor Season 2. Andor is probably either the best or the second best Star Wars series on D+. And I would make it comparable to Mando Season 1. Or maybe some people prefer Mando Season 2 over Season 1. I think Mando Season 1 was better than Season 2. That's just my opinion. I think they're both really good. I did not like Mando Season 3. Andor Season 1 was fabulous. It just didn't do well. Whether it was just timing, the way it was released. It was released on 2 different platforms. It was released all at once. And so I don't know if, not all. It was dripped and drabbed.
It was a bad timing also because a lot of fans are frustrated with Disney and how they handled Star Wars, and then they are pushing out Andor. And I remember the big joke about it was like, are those AKs?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, it was very
And-
basic.
And
but-
immediately from then, we picked on one detail that we didn't like, and we assumed it was going to be another
Yeah.
Disney product that was going to ruin the franchise, and people didn't want to risk it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it performed poorly. But I think people then started to hear by word of mouth, oh, actually, it's not bad. It's actually pretty good. It's pretty accurate.
So,
And
yeah.
I think you had some people who are really, really, really diehard fans who are willing to give another shot actually go back to watching.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen Andor season 1, I do, as a Star Wars fan, someone who's if you ask me, completely disappointed in the Disney trilogy. Whether it was it was the last one there, the Rise of Skywalker, which I thought was just a disaster,
no.
and then the Last Jedi. I thought was just-
Palpatine back.
somehow
Back from the dead.
Palpatine's come back. Okay. I didn't like the Acolyte at all. I reviewed that, but there's things that I love. I thought Rogue One is a fabulous Star Wars movie.
That's what I would compare this to.
Yeah, and so these Andor season 1 and 2, they're basically the lead up to Rogue One, and it sort of becomes its own little trilogy. And
A trilogy in between two trilogies.
trilogy in
Literally.
between two trilogies. Yes,
Literally, because you got the
sort of-
prequels, the originals, and in between you got a Rogue One. That's like their episode 6.
yeah,
And these are and Andor season 1 and 2 are like episodes 4 and 5, essentially.
basically, yeah, and so it's worth a shot. And the trailer came out, and I was amazed at the CGI. I thought it was really well done. There's one scene in it where a TIE fighter is diving down onto a transport that's rolling on a road and blows it up. And it looks like war footage. It was it was great. The music threw me off. It was a little bit more modern day, a little rock and roll, a little pop rock and roll. Had a good song, nothing about it. I was like, but then I was like, oh, okay. The way they cut the trailer to the music, I'm like, I can dig this, right? I get it that, some purist, and I usually consider myself a purist, but if I see something I like, I'm going to tell you. And if it's,
You've gotten weak in your
I
age.
haven't gotten weak in my age.
You're letting the gates open.
I'm just saying.
Give an inch, they take a foot.
I mean, give a mouse a cookie. He wants a glass of milk. I get that.
And this is the House of Mouse right now.
I
So
get this.
wrong,
He's taking my cookies. He wants my
wrong
milk.
place.
So I thought the trailer looked well. It didn't give away anything. You couldn't really figure. Saw Gerrera had a great line in it. You're here, you're ready to fight. Let's fight. It's like, yes, sir. Let's run through a brick wall, sir. Yeah, it just, so the trailer I thought did well to get me excited for Andor season 2. And is that going to say, listen, it's a Disney Plus series. This doesn't, whether it's great or it's not, it doesn't save Star Wars in the way that everybody thinks Star Wars needs to be saved, including me. That's going to take a real proper trilogy to really get it back on track.
And you're probably going to have to find a way. And they've kind of almost gone towards that path of like discrediting those last 3. With the whole mirror kind of verse, right? With the Ashoka show, if I'm not mistaken.
That was a little bit, but they're
They-
still moving forward with the Rey Skywalker movie.
True.
I think, well,
That's why they left that door open in case they need to really, really go far back. And I think they left that door open in case they do possibly end up selling Star Wars in the future. I'm not leaving that out of the
there's no way they
possibility.
sell Star Wars.
I don't think they do, but it's always possible. Someone comes around with the right bid, and maybe they're struggling with it as an intellectual property. They're like, listen, we kind of wrote within the lore. Here's your out. You can use this as a way to kind of.
We should write Elon. Let's say, Elon, you want to buy Star Wars? We'll run it.
He would, yeah. We'll handle the storyboarding. That won't even be me handling. That'd just be you. I'd just be sitting in the chair, be like, yeah, that sounds cool.
The first thing I would do is I'd immediately take away the dumb rule that they made when Disney acquired Star Wars, is that the expanded universe is canon. I would go back and say at least half of those books would be canon. Again, if I was in charge, if I had my wish for somebody to come in and make a series based off of a book from the expanded universe, it would be Tales of the Bounty Hunter by Kevin J. Anderson.
I'm
That would be
surprised they've never tackled that.
that would be an amazing story for people to see.
It surprised me that they decanonized that
Yeah.
verse
I
because there's so many good stories. I mean, you can even go the zombie route if you want.
You could.
Blackwing virus.
Yep, that was cool.
I mean, I love that.
They're gonna do Heir to the Empire. I mean, but I'm not.
do
Disney
some
did-
old Republic stuff.
Yeah, there's some.
You could have really.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can actually do, but they kind of just forced that door closed because they wanted to try to go their own direction with their own messaging, and it's kind of now locked them into this corner where they're trying to kind of weasel their way out. Because now they can't go back and be like, that's canon. Because it looks hypocritical.
Yeah.
It looks like they've given in. And, companies with egos do not do that. So,
But here's a trailer.
Yeah, but here's a trailer.
Yeah, we're just
It looks good. I do have some
All right.
complaints. You're more high on
We're
it than
gonna
I
we're
am.
gonna get copyrighted on this.
The scenes of war, the battles, I love.
Saw.
Some of the other scenes, like the dancing hall.
Yeah, they got a little bit of dancing in there, but you know what? I'm a Return of the Jedi generation, and I watched Ewoks dance.
I know.
As long as it's not as bad as the Power of One, the Power of Two, the Power
No,
of
that's what
Many.
I'm concerned. I think it's gonna be power 1, power 2, because everyone puts their hands up in the air. I'm like, this is not.
This guy, Krennic's back, reprising his role, and he was great in his role. So that'll be fun to see. A little bit of Death Star stuff here.
It's nice that they're kind of building back up to it.
Oh,
So-
there's a dancing that you were talking
yeah,
about.
it just that doesn't make me.
A little rave going on. A little Star Wars rave. If I was younger, maybe.
It's
All right,
it's some of these like more like less action scenes that make me more concerned, because I think the action they're gonna nail it.
Yeah, I think the action.
It's what they're gonna do outside of the action in terms of story. Because I think the main story would be solid, but in every main story there's little side pieces going
Sure.
on, and I think that's my concern is that they might try to make that big or too big, or try to tie it in too much to the main story where it just takes away than actually adds.
Well, I mean, their ultimate goal. They already know their ultimate goal in this season is to get him to the beginning of Rogue One. Sorry, dude, but you're gonna die. It's like
Great character, though. Great character.
Great character. I think he did a great job in everything he's been in. So, so excited. So, let us know in the comment section if you're excited too. I'm always gonna give Star Wars a chance. I am. I grew up on it.
Yeah, you never learn. You never learn your lesson. House
Buddy.
of Mouse is broken. You're like, okay,
Buddy, I was
you're
4 years old
I know
when,
this.
when those commercials played. Luke Skywalker swung across the pit in the Death Star with Leia on his hip. 4 years old, buddy. I still have those memories of running to the TV because they would say the Star Wars commercial, and then going to the theater and being in that atmosphere.
Yeah, you've seen Star Wars.
Sorry.
You've seen Star Wars on every opening day, correct?
Yeah.
I don't think you. That's like an unbeaten streak for you.
Yeah, I have not.
Haven't
I have
failed.
not missed, and so, yeah, it's just such an integral part of my childhood. It's just one of those things where I gravitated to and loved, and it's where I got my imagination from. I don't think I'd have the imagination I have. Not that I'm I have a great imagination. I'm some creative genius.
No, you paint. You have a good imagination.
But I think what gave me a little bit of imagination, or the ability to say, oh, it's okay to get really lost in some fantasy worlds every now and again, was Star Wars. And so I owe it a lot, especially my child. Collected all the toys, all the comics, and things like that. So love it. I'm always going to give it a shot. I'm just one of those people he's never going to learn his lesson. I'm like Charlie Brown kicking the frickin' football, and Disney is Lucy pulling it out. Just pulling it right out. I'm falling on my ass.
I was gonna say you're like Batman and Disney's Bane, but like
Just keep breaking my back.
Yeah, instead of being broken once, you've been broken like 4 times at this point. But you still keep crawling back, thinking this time I can talk him out of it.
This time things are gonna be different. I swear.
Haven't fully healed from the last one, but that hope just keeps you alive.
Oh, God, yeah. But the Acolyte almost broke me.
I'm surprised that didn't break you.
Acolyte
Power of
almost-
1, power of 2.
It was so ridiculous. I had to say to myself, at some point in time, Disney itself is going to distance itself from this series, and they did. They said, we're not going to give a season 2, and we're going to just move away from this.
Did you see how the directors tried to save it with like there was a Darth Plagueis the Wise at the end? It was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Dark Plagueis, yeah, and they had the little, and I'm like, really?
I'm like, that's how you're gonna try to
Really?
save it. It's like we can get a season 2 out of this, maybe. This is it. We'll recover.
I mean, I just remember Leslie Headland, who was the creator, director, writer of the series, just making it all about her. It's her giant therapy session about her sexuality, and wanting to crap all over things that were traditional. And I'm like, okay, if that's really what you want to make it as, it's then we already know it was going to fail, because that's what happens to you. Again, I always say you can make something with a social message as long as the social message isn't what drives the story. And I'll give you a perfect example. I was thinking about this earlier, and if you've ever seen the movie Philadelphia, one of Tom Hanks's roles that got him the Oscar, starring him and Denzel Washington, there is an extreme social message embedded in that film about gay rights and the beginning of the AIDS pandemic and the stigmas around AIDS. And yeah, it's there, but it's not what drives the story. The characters drive the story. The narrative drives the story. That's part of what is in that narrative, but it's never like this is the only reason we're here is to tell you this over and over and over again. No, you feel with those characters. You empathize. You you start to understand a lot of what they're going through and their pain and their misery, and that's how you build a great story and have a social message in it. If they flipped it around, it wouldn't have been best picture or best actor and all that stuff. So
A good stories always entertain, and then it educates you. It has, in order to educate you, it must entertain you. And
show don't tell.
if you can't entertain, then you can't educate.
Can't educate. So, anyways, big high hopes for Andor season 2. So can't wait. And I'm probably gonna go back and watch Andor season 1 because it's been a bit, and I'll just watch that through again and just kind of remember.
When does it come out?
And it's season 2. This comes out, I think, in May. They haven't really said. They said spring. So I'm guessing April. Or May. I
April.
didn't see a.
Could be an Easter release.
Yeah, it could be. It didn't have any.
Give the family something to watch on Easter.
It didn't have anything. It just said coming in spring. April 22nd. Sorry, I'm wrong because I'm old and I forget. April 22nd. There you go. Anyways, so.
Not an Easter release.
All right. Get away from the House of Mouse for right now. Let's get to DC, my true love in comics. So James Gunn gave a little press conference. So as you can see from the headlines, DC Studios update, 2 Batman movies, a possible Teen Titans film, live action, not animated, and Penguin Season 2, and why James Gunn posted a photo with Zack Snyder. Anyways, so we'll get to that. Now, we all know that the Batman film has been pushed off. It's going to be about 5 years between when the first one released and when the second one releases. That's cool. That's great. And James Gunn really kind of talks about this in this interview, in this presser that he gave. He talks about how he and Greg Berlanti, the other gentleman in charge with him, they're not going to go forward with any project. They're not going to greenlight one single project unless they've both read a script and it's solid. And that's a big difference. And they call that out about Marvel, where Marvel will just come out on San Diego Comic-Con. They'll go, Hall H, and they'll say, we got these 10 movies coming out, and here are their titles and the dates that come. But they don't even have scripts for these movies.
And they got shelved.
Yeah, and they get shelved or changed. Look at Captain America Brave New World was originally Captain America and the Serpent Society, then Captain America New World Order, and it kept changing and changing and changing because they announced the movie, they didn't have a script and they didn't know where it was going or how it was going to be affected or what's going to happen. So I think James Gunn, again, James Gunn is going to have his detractors all the time. And does he do everything perfect? Absolutely not. I had a couple issues with his Creature Commandos there, but he's making a lot of the right decisions. And so he talks about the Clayface movie, right? We're getting a Clayface movie, which is awesome because
underappreciated character.
But the reason why they greenlit that movie and pushed Batman back a little bit is because what I just said. He was given a very solid script for the Clayface movie and said, this is great. It's polished.
Could maybe use a couple of tweaks here and there when they film it, but
sure.
Even then,
but like anything else, but it's not going to be written on a run. They have a roadmap to something that they think can be successful. And so, boom, we're getting Clayface, which is going to be sort of like a gothic kind of suspense horror kind of thing, which perfect, right?
It fits him.
Yep. He talked about, and I want to get the quote correctly here. And let me see here. Peacemaker season 2 coming. That's good. So a lot has happened with DC in just 2 years. Gunn is deep in post-production on Superman, which we're expecting in a few months. The first DC Studios movie, which he wrote and directed while simultaneously working on post on season 2 of the Max series Peacemaker. By the way, love Peacemaker. John Cena, I thought, killed it in Peacemaker. It makes me laugh. It's entertaining. I just really enjoy Peacemaker. I mean,
it's a good show.
It crosses a lot of lines. It's got a lot of vulgarity and things in it. Make me laugh. Make me go, okay, that was pretty funny.
It doesn't take itself seriously.
No, it doesn't. And you know what?
I think that's what helps it.
It hits you on both sides. Like if you're worried about, it's got woke content. It has woke jokes,
probably,
and it's got really conservative jokes.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah.
I mean, the main one of the main villains in the Peacemaker season 1 series, if you didn't know, was the White Dragon. Peacemaker's father is a white supremacist supervillain called the White Dragon. He's got a whole Aryan race group and everything like that.
Great.
I mean,
Sounds.
It's so. I mean, they don't shy away from anything.
It's been a while since I've watched the show.
So
And I don't even know if I fully watched it.
I don't think you did.
I don't think I did.
So director Greg Gillespie is halfway through production on the summer 2026 film Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow with Millie Alcock.
Oh, we're doing
And-
Supergirl
yep.
a year after Superman.
Yep.
All
And-
right, so they really need Superman to take off then.
Yep. And production has started. I'm really excited for this.
Oh, we're bringing it back?
The Green Lantern HBO series Lanterns, which stars Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre, which is aiming to debut in early 2026.
Which lantern is this going to be?
We're going to have both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Two of my favorite Lanterns. Granted, no Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner is going to be in a Superman movie.
Guy
so I'm good
Gardner is
with
going to
that.
have his own show probably.
Maybe he might be just full. They're going to do an all-star Justice League or something like that. Where Guy Gardner's going to be in a secret society.
Do you think James Gunn tries to tackle a Green Lantern redo?
Oh yeah,
Because I mean, you've got to do justice to the character. I watched that movie when it first came out. It is bad. I did enjoy the CGI as a kid, but then again, I was a kid.
it was a bad movie.
It was a bad movie.
I think if James Gunn is the type of comic book fan that I think he is, he's going for Emerald Dawn or he's going for Blackest Night. He wants to build into something like that, which would be incredible. Which means you got to introduce all the different colored lanterns, right? So, but either way,
But that takes build up. You have to pretty much build up. That's like a whole universe you have to build up and construct. So you need to start off with the
Let's
Lanterns
go.
show, probably a movie.
dude, I want to give me Larfleeze. Give me a Larfleeze show. Just give me a Larfleeze. Give me 2 episodes with Larfleeze. Introduce him. That's all you need. That's all you
True.
need. The Orange Lantern, Agent Orange Larfleeze. That's all you need. Give me Atrocitus, the Red Lanterns. Oh my God! You know the Sinestro Corps alone
No, I was
is a whole season.
that's a whole. I thought I was going to say I don't want you to just make every episode be like, all right, jumping from one core to another
No.
core.
No,
Sounds like a.
but there's so much lore you would have to build.
that's
That's
like a 2-3 seasons you need to establish with the show, or you do a season of the show, a movie where it's got maybe what was the initial? If I remember, like one of the initial conflicts was of course green and yellow, but also red.
It's green and yellow.
But red got introduced shortly after.
Yep.
And then after red was
Well, you got blue and
blue, red and blue. Yeah, red and blue kind of came together. So I think that's the path you follow as you start to introduce those kind of core 4 emotions.
But then you got to start. You
gotta go,
got to
gotta
figure out.
arrange.
You got to figure out Oa, the Guardians.
Yeah.
You have to figure out Kyle Rayner. If you're gonna do Blackest Night, you got to figure out Kyle Rayner. If you're gonna do Emerald Dawn, you might be able to get away with
You
it.
probably have the show build up Kyle Rayner. He probably is like an end of season reveal.
Maybe. Reveal.
English is hard.
Me talk pretty one day.
Me talk pretty.
Me
one
talk pretty.
day.
So, but yeah, and then so along with those other updates, over the course of an hour, Gunn and Safran held forth on several topics, including the status of their initial slate of 5 films, including Batman: The Brave and the Bold. That ought to be interesting. That's a great series, comic book series, and it was an animated series. I can't wait to see that because there's a lot of aesthetic choices you can make that would be really cool.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
stories too.
Yep, you got The Authority and 5 TV series, including Waller and Booster Gold.
Oh, I let you
Friggin-
talk. That's your section.
I
Let
love
you talk.
Booster Gold is hilarious. Booster Gold is one of those, you can call him a B-list superhero, a comic book hero, but he has got so much potential as far as a character. I mean, he's someone who was a failure in his time, 1,000 years into the future, broke into a museum, stole technology, and transported himself back to the 20th century so he could become a superhero. Ended up making himself this corporate thing. He's a superhero, but he's all corporate. You know, he's got movie deals, he's got cereals, and he's got Booster Gold Halloween costume. But it's friggin' hilarious, and you can check out if you want to know the origin of Booster Gold. I did a recap of Booster Gold's first appearance ever in the DC universe. It's on the channel, so definitely I'll probably put the link on that in the description when we're done. So we got that. As well as confirmation about a handful of other projects, including a film about the Batman villain Clayface. We talked about that. A prospective live-action movie about the Teen Titans. I mean, there you got to have Cyborg, you got to have Robin.
Slade,
So if you're gonna have Robin, you got to have Robin. Well, Slade Wilson will definitely be
the villain.
the villain.
He's got to be.
He's
the
got to
villain.
be the villain, right?
I mean, if you don't make him the villain, who else is?
If you're gonna have to have Raven, Beast Boy. I mean, you got all these great characters.
Didn't they try to do this with a TV show? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's a team. There's
Yeah,
one. You can still
yeah.
watch it on Max.
I know.
I don't know if it still runs. I should check
I
it
don't-
out.
I don't-
It's just it seems like when something's like, oh, this is all teenager stuff. I'm like, it's probably not made for me, so
No.
I end up skipping it. But I'll probably go check it out. And then we got a possible animated series about Blue Beetle. That one I'm like, the movie just kind of crashed and burned.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good. It really, too many stereotypes. Speaking from someone who's married to a Mexican and lives in Mexico.
Well, he's Guatemalan, no?
Way too many. Well, they kept
Comics.
talking about in there. They made it all about tacos and this and whatnot.
Oh, that's just Mexican.
Mexican stereotypes and stuff like that. And so it really just kind of was like, I remember when the movie was coming out, I actually asked our
If he did Papupas, that's different.
well, I asked your cousins who are 13, 14. I mean,
yeah.
I asked them, they're Mexican, and I said, hey, are you excited about the Mexican superhero Blue Beetle? And they looked at me and they said, no.
Of course.
No, and these are teen boys, video games and comics and all that. That's what they're into. And they were like, no.
They don't want that.
And the Sergeant Rock movie is probably in jeopardy right now. At least they got to find a new Sergeant Rock. Apparently, Daniel Craig was the one who's, former James Bond, was going to play Sergeant Rock, has withdrawn from consideration. Some say he wasn't even being considered, but who cares? They'll figure it out. Either way, they're moving slow, but they're moving deliberately. And
They're crafting very carefully this universe because they want to make something that rivals the Marvel universe. At least that first part, maybe not the entirety of it right now, because it's in a bit of a messy state.
True.
But they want to replicate that initial success, and I mean, he was there for it. He knows what goes into it.
So here's the quote I was looking for. Safran noted that DC Studios is ultimately aiming to release 2 live-action films and 1 animated film per year, and 2 live-action and 2 animated TV series per year. But the executives also reiterated the overall philosophy guiding their creative choices, namely that no project will get a green light until Gunn and Safran are satisfied with a completed screenplay. Quote, it is hard enough making a good movie with a good script. Yeah, Gunn
This
said.
is true.
It's almost impossible making a movie with a script that you're writing on the run. This is why, for example, they greenlit Clayface on the strength of Mike Flanagan's screenplay, even though, as Gunn said, we had no plans on making a Clayface movie. But here they had this script. It's like, okay, cool.
It's good. They like it. And they think they can fit it.
This approach stands in pointed contrast with DC Studios' obvious counterpart, Marvel Studios, which has quite famously announced many movies and their release dates without anything close to a finished script. And so writing on the run. So yeah, so I think things look good right now. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There we go. Okay, so Colin Farrell, they want to do Penguin Season 2. Unfortunately, Colin Farrell last night won an award for playing the Penguin, which he should. I think it's the best performance on TV.
So why unfortunately here?
Unfortunately, he said he's in no hurry to revisit that role. I'm sorry, he played that role so well.
You can't replace him.
He's
the Penguin.
Unless
you know why? I think he said that because kind of agent thing of like, hey, get some money for this. Up the pay.
Maybe that could be it. Maybe
I think that's
maybe
it.
It's play for money.
I think he likes the role. He got an award for it. He feels like he's accomplished his job there. I think he's looking for a bigger payday.
That or
I hope that's what it is.
Colin Farrell has always had the reputation of being one of those actors who is not concerned with being in the franchise. He's always concerned with looking for something challenging, something different, something, that's going to leave a mark. And the fact that he's already done this once and the suffering of going through between 4 and 8 hours of makeup every day, never mind how long it takes to take it off at the end of the day, and then the filming, and then finding that character and doing it so well. So, I mean, there was a lot of effort. And so it was a challenge. But now that he sees that he's probably conquered that challenge, it might not have the same appeal. He's one of those actors that truly looks at it like, all right, I don't want to paint the same thing over and over again, And,
true. And I respect that. But I think every actor does look for a role that does cement them.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, the season 1 was so great. He earned an award. It does cement him. He could go further with it.
He could. We could see him.
I think there's a lot more you can do with that role. I'm not saying there's a potential movie, down the road, but there's always a chance.
There is.
And yeah, he says he doesn't want to be part of a franchise, but I imagine that that's also a unique challenge in itself, being the face of a part of a franchise. Maybe not the face because it's the Batman universe, so Batman will always be the face. But in terms of villains, you might be the face.
Yeah. Well,
If
you're out there,
Colin Farrell, please.
Colin Farrell, please.
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 Just ask for more money.
Ask for more money. Tell HBO's got deep pockets.
Trust me, they're deeper than what you think.
Okay, just do it. All right. So great DC news. On to yeah, she's back. He's back. Her whatever's back.
It's back.
It's back.
Carla again.
Carla, if you didn't know, this is Carla Sofia Gascon. And she's set to attend the Oscars after resurfaced tweet controversy. Okay, so this is the star of Amelia Perez, the movie about a transgender drug cartel kingpin who goes from man to woman in musical form. Yes, it is a musical.
Because of course it is.
That has earned 13 Oscar nominations, second most in the history, is a terrible movie. Please see my review for all of that. Is an insult to the country of Mexico. Is an insult to the Christians of Mexico.
I mean, I'm
It's an
insulted.
insult. It's just an insult. It's an insult to anyone who's ever suffered that type of violence against cartels or from cartels. It is it's a disgusting movie. It really just truly is. And it actually, honest to God, here's the thing. It makes people who are transgender, if this is what represents transgender, it makes them look bad. It really does. It doesn't do no favors for the transgender community. Anyways, with that said, after whatever.
Get the makeup going. Ozzy Osbourne's sister.
Death. Okay, she was winning awards, being nominated all over the world for her
Brave role.
brave and stunning brave role.
Stunning, brave, and challenging role.
Apparently, she's not as open-minded as she would like you to think. There were a lot of tweets that came out because she lives in Spain.
She's Spanish.
And she don't like black people, and she don't like Muslims or Islamic people.
She really don't like Arabs.
She really don't like Arabs.
North Africans.
Sent a lot of tweets out that were quite...
She actually hates migrants.
Listen.
Like a lot of them.
Yeah.
She took a picture of a family, right?
She took a picture of a nice family having dinner. They happened to be Arab.
One had a hijab.
One had a hijab because that's their belief, and ridiculed that on social media. Among other things, there's a whole list. You can go back and research them all. Anyways.
Very common in Europe. You'd be surprised.
But guess what? Orange Man bad. So we have to have... The only reason this person is coming back or being reinvited to the Oscars, Netflix is paying for her to be... Now, usually studios pay for their stars who are nominated to go there. Saying Netflix is paying her bill, all the studios pay the bills of the people who are nominated.
It's not unique. It's not like a special.
Either way, what is unique is that Orange Man bad. So since one of the first things that President Trump did while in office, when he first took office, was to sign an executive order saying that there are only two genders, because science, I believe is there still only an X and Y chromosome?
Yeah, last I checked.
Is there a W out there floating around?
Just the W's I win.
Z, maybe a J, maybe a P. No. LMNOP, QRS. So there's only
people. There's no more than X and Y.
There's only an XY chromosome. Like it, don't like it. This way it is. He signed the executive order. He got more.
Well, it's not even an executive order. We don't. This is just basic science,
basic
people.
Science.
We don't need an executive order.
Apparently we do. So Orange Man bad. So we need to reinvite the tranny to the Oscars, who I still think, despite the controversy, is going to win.
We have a bet.
Now, again, this is a man transitioning to a woman, so it's a biological man.
Or say with me.
Man to a woman, or woman to a man. Man to a woman. Those are actual lyrics from the song that they sing.
We're not done yet. The best line.
So penis to vagina. It's literally, I can't make this crap up.
I wish.
I can't.
I wish
really
it was
can't.
fake.
So
you dragged me to watch that clip.
I made you watch that.
You made me watch that.
I couldn't believe it because I thought
I
thought maybe I was having a flashback from like when I was a teenager or something like that. A little acid thing.
What kind of
LSD
do you
I don't
have?
know. It's the same. Anyways, so yes, so Orange Man bad. That's all I got to say. That's why this person's here.
So that's why we have Osborne's sister at the Oscars.
And this person, who's a biological male, has been nominated in the Best Actress category. So only 4 actual biological females are being nominated this year. The 5th spot, and sorry to any other deserving woman who might have worked hard on their role, did the research and all that.
No, you know what?
Prep work. And
Gringo, you know what this is actually?
What is this?
This is another nail in the coffin that men are better at than women. You know why? Because even when it comes to being a woman, us men are better.
Oh God!
Somehow, if we win, if he wins the award,
I want.
if he wins, if he
she,
one
please,
for yours to say
if there is a God, please let her win.
No.
Because it'll just be like the true end of the Oscars.
it just proves that glass ceiling is a ceiling made of bricks.
Oh my God!
Ain't breaking through it.
And, you know, you got to think like what woman got left out of being nominated for an Oscar?
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
gotta suck.
And a lot of people think Zendaya
Yeah.
for her role in Challengers. A lot of people that was a snub. So
That's fair. That's fair.
I think that's fair to say.
Uh,
So yeah, Oscars this weekend.
men are still better than
We,
women.
do,
Somehow.
we should if we watch it, we're definitely going to have to live stream while we react to this thing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, 13 nominations. I mean, what was the last? Look, okay, was it Gone with the Wind is the only one that has more nominations, or Lord of the Rings? One of those two. Movie with most Oscar nominations.
Here we go.
It's one of those two. Let's see here. All About Eve. Sorry, 1950s. All About Eve.
and La La Land.
All About Eve, Titanic, and La La Land are the
14.
three with 14. So who's got 13 nominations? Because I think it's like literally we're talking like stuff like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is Lord of the Rings. I do remember that. 13.
There it is.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Okay,
Shakespeare
yeah,
in
you should
Love.
not be in the. Listen, I love Forrest Gump. You should not. That film should not at all be touching. Never mind in the same neighborhood as Forrest Gump.
I know. Mama said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. You know?
Bubba.
Lord of the Rings,
Gone
The
with the
Return of the
Wind.
King.
It says La La Land here
because 13 or more. Yeah.
Not 13.
Oppenheimer. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Mary
Yeah,
Poppins. The
Oh.
Shape of Water.
Lord of the
Gone with
Rings. Yeah, you're right.
So The Curious Case of Benjamin. Button.
Shakespeare in Love.
Which that was a good
Shakespeare
movie, but
in
it
Love?
should deserve the nominations, but it didn't deserve to be Saving Private Ryan for Best
Oh, you
Picture.
beat. That's the one that beat Saving Private
Oh
Ryan.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's bullshit.
Oh yeah.
That's.
Oh yeah.
Listen, if you can make
That's
a movie,
Harvey Weinstein, baby.
I say, if you can make a movie that makes literal World War II veterans who storm the beaches of Normandy have to take a break after like a minute, I think you won the Oscar. I'm
I would
sorry.
say so yeah. It's considered one of the worst Oscar wins of all time. So
I think it's the worst Oscar.
all right, but there she is.
You know what? Don't win it for transgender people. Win it for men.
Win it for
Win it for men.
Win it for me.
Win it for
Win
me. We are better actresses if we wanted to. That's why we give you your own section. Sit down. Go make me a sandwich.
No,
Learn your place.
just crash it.
And then I'm not wrong about the. If we win,
Opinions expressed in this part of the stream are not usually representative of all gringos worldwide.
I speak for the Latins.
Oh, God. All right, we're done with that. Let's get on to more good news. Joy Reid is canceled.
Oh, I thought you said Joy Reid. I was like, this is good news.
Yeah, Joy Reid.
No.
This
I meant, like,
race baiting.
I know. I meant like the first part. You said this movie on the good news. I heard Joyce Reid, and I was like, Joy Reid. Sorry, Joyce. Joy Reid. I thought that's not good news. That's just bad news.
Yeah.
She's canceled.
Yeah, she canceled. Yeah, MSNBC smartening up. They're losing too much money, losing too many viewers. And it's because of people like her. She had a chance to have a really good news show. She decided to go all in on Trump derangement syndrome. Think people are idiots. Look, she literally on TV basically said, Joy Reid claimed everyday Americans never heard the word inflation until the GOP campaigned on it.
Oh wow,
Bullshit.
Oh, yeah, that is.
I was 4, and I remember hearing the word inflation when Jimmy Carter was president. Okay? So everyday Americans exactly know what inflation is, and they know what it is when they go to the grocery store. You dumb idiot.
Speak about talking down to your audience.
I mean, Jesus.
Inflation is an economic term.
I mean, but she talks to people like they're like she's race baiting. Everything's about race. Everything. It's just evil white people voted in Donald Trump. She forget about the majority of Latinos, the number of African Americans that switched parties and voted for Trump. Don't forget that he won the popular vote along with the electoral
something
vote,
they thought was not possible,
which he did. So it's something like 65% of Americans voted for this guy. All right, so it's not just
65% of people who did vote.
Yeah, it's not just dumb white men that voted in this guy. It's not just white men that are not college educated.
With record turnout.
By the way,
Right.
I'm extremely college educated. I have multiple degrees. I'm a white guy, and I voted for Trump. So there you go.
I'm brown. I was across the ocean, and I voted
You
abroad.
voted for Trump.
For Trump.
There's a non-college educated brown lady
From Mexico City.
just down the hallway, and she told me that if I don't vote for Trump, she was going to slit my throat while I sleep.
That's not why you voted for Trump.
That's not why I voted for Trump, but still,
the
that's how
passion.
much she loves Trump. Anyways,
And
so
she's on the other side of the border.
it ain't about race. It's got nothing to do with race. Nothing. I did not vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman and because she's black.
No, I didn't like her policies.
I did not vote for Kamala Harris because she's a flippin' idiot.
I went based off policy because even idiots can run a country sometimes if they have the right cabinet around them.
Did you want to trust that? She
No,
can't even-
no, absolutely not.
Oh my God.
I don't think she's an idiot, but I think she's not really the best qualified. I know people will point out to her positions and they'll bring up her career,
She's
but
a
even
liar?
even then, it's like it's not. What did you do?
Okay, let's take away
Not
the
really.
word. Okay, maybe that's too strong. Maybe too strong because she did tell me the border was secure. So either she's an idiot or she's a liar. You pick. All right. So
think
here's, I'm gonna mute this.
I'd rather
mic.
be dumb.
I think this is hopefully you'll be able to hear
You'll
this.
be
I'm gonna here's one thing. Reed compares Biden surviving COVID to Trump surviving an assassination attempt. This is the type of moron that
I'm
gets
sorry.
fired.
Well, here's the question that I have on that. These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
It should.
I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
There you go. So
You know what? She is right. It is just the same as turning your head.
by the way, President Biden told me if I got the jab that I wouldn't get the coof. I got the jab. He got the jab. We both got the coof. So
I was going to
more
say.
lies.
It is the same as turning your head by pure luck,
Yeah.
by a hair.
Oh yeah. Also, by the way, if you're a Trump supporter, you're also an Islamic extremist. Well, let me consult my Catholic Bible behind me about how Islamic extremist I am. Dumb, stupid. But that's news, right? That's mainstream media.
Why? What happened to the
And
good
the thing
news?
is, again, if you met me when I was in my mid-20s, early 30s, I was from Massachusetts. I was from the bastion of liberalism. I was CNN, MSNBC all day, every day as a political student.
Well, back then they had credibility.
They had some credibility, but even then they were still, heavily favored one side. I was
Right.
in.
You were in deep.
I was in deep. I was a member of the Democratic Party, but guess what? I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me, and I found another party that said, "Hey, you know what? We'll take you, and we'll listen to all your views, and we'll figure it all out." And accepted me, and even the things I disagree with, I can disagree within the Republican Party on certain planks of the platform, and still be called a Republican, still be called a conservative. So, anyways, goodbye, Joy. bye-bye. It was nice knowing you. And they're going to have to reshuffle. A lot of other people getting fired, too. A lot of people getting reshuffled. And I don't want to see anybody get fired, but I do want to see them get fired if they're going to take their platform and lie and just smear people, smear the American public. And I don't want that. You want free speech? Fine. I don't have to,
The news has become very divisive.
It has. It
And I think we
really
need to
has.
kind of move away from that.
It really has. So either way, so let's unsave these so we can start. We got a couple more stories to go, and one kind of like this one's got me a little weird. Okay, if you didn't know, yes, I am a Catholic, and I do talk about the Pope every now and again in my other podcast when I talk about.
I
that.
live near the Pope.
You used to live right next to the
I
Pope.
haven't got to see the Pope up close.
You actually, yeah, you
Prior to sick leave.
You actually have a selfie with you like this, and the Pope's in the back. You're like, hey.
Yeah, he's like waving at people. I don't know if he's looking at the camera.
I don't know where he's looking, but he's the Pope. He's Papa. All right. So he had a peaceful night after suffering respiratory crisis. Apparently, there's been reports that he is in early stage kidney failure, which
Not good.
not good.
No. You can talk about that.
I can talk about that because he's in early stage kidney failure. I'm sort of mid stage. I'm mid stage kidney failure.
You're not there yet.
I'm beating you, old man. I'm beating you. Yes.
To the punch.
Beating you to the punch. Gonna get there first. Cause see what's really on the other side.
Wow.
Anyways.
As a Catholic.
So I was like, all right, good. He's feeling better. Did we just lose our camera?
No, that's my iPad.
Oh, that's your iPad.
That's my game.
Don't do that to me. So we had that, but then Cardinal Dolan, U.S. Cardinal, says Pope Francis, he said this today, is probably close to death.
He's not wrong.
So you have the Vatican saying, no, things are cool. And then you get Cardinal Dolan coming out going, ain't cool.
Ain't cool. It's
So
denied.
it's the Jubilee year. It's the 2025 Jubilee year. It's basically...
Every 75 years, I believe it is, they have a...
Well, it used to be 50 from the Old Testament, and the Pope has the power now to do it every 25 if he wants to, but every 50 now if he wants to. But he also has the power to just declare an extraordinary Jubilee year if something happens. I don't know what that would be.
Miracle.
So,
A supposed miracle.
so
Listen, I'll tell you this. There was news that the Swiss Guard were practicing for his funeral. If the Swiss Guard is practicing for your funeral, just know that they think there's a really good chance they're going to be in a wooden box.
yeah, they don't make that decision on their own.
No, that's discussed. I mean, if they were spotted practicing, which this is from a Vatican kind of insider leak, credible.
Yeah.
I'd say very credible because these guys are pretty accurate with their news. I don't have the source obviously here, but I just remember reading it.
So it'll be interesting.
So we'll see.
It'll be interesting. Like, I don't want to see him go.
No,
he's been a cool dude. Like, I've not agreed with a lot of things that he's done, but I've agreed with a lot of things that he has done.
He's been the most, I would say, controversial pope of like.
He's been extremely controversial, but that's because he's trying to reform the church.
Right.
And I think he came in wanting to just do sweeping changes, and he realized, oh, this is going to be something that's going to be incremental.
Because there's a lot of pushback. The Cardinals are very, very, how do I say? Not
They're
say powerful.
It's institutionalized.
It's institutionalized.
But no one likes to give up their power. No one wants to go give up their little fiefdom.
Well, not
It's
even
the
that.
same
No one
anywhere
likes to
else.
give away their secrecy.
Well, that's
Because
it.
it's like having a political position without anyone really investigating you.
Sure. And I think the Vatican is probably a place where now I go back to Ratzinger, the previous pope, and why Pope Gregory? It's Pope Gregory.
It was Gregory.
Pope Gregory, Father Ratzinger, who everybody was like, oh, this guy's a German. He's like this. They compared him to some of the worst people in history. But he had a quote, and one day he kind of just let it slip. He said the Vatican is infested with demons. And a pope doesn't just say that because he thinks it's funny,
It's a pretty
pope-
serious thing to say.
It's a period, especially if he's kind of just like, hey, by the way, what I found out, and I think that's the reason why he said, with his health and concern as well, I think that's why that pope decided to be one of the few popes to say, I'm going to step down now, because I think he realized this is a job that is going to be too big or is just not. He did.
He
what
wasn't in
could.
the position
He
he
put
could
it.
do
He,
more.
I think he made it to a place where Francis could come in and start to do some things.
Where he still had kind of the majority to kind of elect him.
But I do agree with you though on a couple things. Well, first of all, ain't nothing more weirder watching than when a pope does die. The news is just this one camera shot. It was actually two camera shots. One on St. Peter's Square there.
Mhm.
It's just all the people gathered waiting, and all the people gathered there are praying and watching a pipe to see if smoke comes out of that pipe. If it's black smoke, they have to re-vote in the cardinal conclave. If it's white smoke, there's a new pope elected. And if people just there, and then when the black smoke comes out, they go, and when the white smoke comes out, everybody goes nuts, right? Because there's a new pope, and that's what the faithful do. But it's very interesting to have that. We'll have to stream that as well.
It's funny. The year I'm not in Rome, all this is happening.
All this is happening.
Isn't it funny? Every time we leave a place, every time I leave a place, something bad happens.
It's your fault for doing so well in school. I told you.
Yeah. Graduate early. I miss all the fun.
I know. Well, hey, it is what it is. So we'll have to look at that. I do agree with you. Now, I've been reading a lot about the priests, a lot of the Catholic priests in Africa, a lot of African countries that are just getting kidnapped, slaughtered, killed. There's really a war against Christianity down in Africa. I think based on that, if the Catholic Church is serious about expanding and taking some sort of measures within Africa, because there's such a growing Christian and Catholic population on there,
it's very, very significant. I mean, a lot of the people from North Africa it's a predominantly a Muslim region.
Yeah.
Some of them are faithful towards God or even some sort of, I'd say, Abrahamic religion. Some of them convert.
Yeah.
And there's a decent chunk that convert to Catholicism.
But you get down to like
population for them.
But you get down to places like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, places like that.
Yeah.
That's heavily Catholic. I think this.
Well, not just Catholic. It's very. Some of it's Protestant. I have a friend there. He's Ghanaian, named Lloyd. Good guy. Very Protestant. Very Protestant,
Sure.
but very Christian, I should say at the very least. Those areas.
Well, I think there's a chance that the cardinal from Ghana might get elected.
Oh, are you talking about? I forgot his name. Cardinal.
I forgot his name too. I know him on site.
He has like glasses, white kind of hair. Yeah, I know this guy. Peter Turkson.
Turkson.
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
He's one of the
could become
candidates.
the next pope.
He's one of the leading candidates.
That would be amazing. Talk about a reform candidate. Talk about a choice of reform. Talk about a signal of change within the church. Definitely.
Here it is. I think
again, it'll never be an American.
This was like the kind of later ones.
Let's see here.
The Filipino, the remember I was talking about this. There's a really good video. I don't remember who made it, but if you want to look up leading papal candidates for after Pope Francis, this guy goes really in depth because it's kind of hard to get into not only Catholic politics but especially Vatican politics because there's so many cardinals and you don't know who's really on the real actual ballot essentially to become pope.
Yeah,
there's the Hungarian one I know. They're thinking about going back to Italy.
I think that's a mistake if they go back to an Italian pope. I think that's a step backwards. I think they got to go with somebody who.
Well, the other big one, I think,
who's done the work? Like who's gonna be the best steward for the church? And really, that's what it should come down to. And the work that this guy Turkson is doing in Africa is
well, it's
amazing.
not just in social media. I mean, he's quite well known.
Yeah. So I think
here,
we'll see.
I forgot which one's the Hungarian one. I forgot his name. It might be that's Angelo. That's Luis Tegel. He's the Filipino, I believe. The Filipinos have a huge Catholic population.
Sure.
They've become very prevalent, especially even in Rome.
Yeah.
I mean, my church where I served in the
Filipino
Vatican,
mass.
it was English mass, but it's ran by Filipinos.
Nice.
They also have a Filipino mass occasionally. They actually always have every month a group that comes from, I believe it's Manila, to Rome to have a service there, and because they're kind of family with everybody there. So I wouldn't be surprised if the cardinal for the Philippines is heavily considered.
Well, I mean, other than that, I mean, I hope.
These are some of the two leading.
I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to see him die.
No.
But everybody does at some point in time, and sooner or later. I mean, he's 81 years old. He's got kidney disease. He's got, reportedly kidney disease. I'm not. That's what's been reported. He's got a double lung infection with double pneumonia. He doesn't even have both lungs. He's got like 1.5 lungs. So it could be, it could be sooner rather than later. I don't want to see that happen, but it'll be interesting to see who does replace him as the head of our church or head of my church.
Erdo's the one I was thinking of. Sorry.
With that, the last story I got, now I had this Elon. I'm not going to talk about Elon today. We're going to save Elon for tomorrow. We actually got two stories. Hey, so what's with the U.S. joining Russia to vote against the UN resolution condemning Russia's war against Ukraine?
I think that's a political move from Trump.
I think that's a smart political.
I think it's a I
think
think
it's
it's a
smart.
very okay. There's some talks in Saudi Arabia, and I don't know what's discussed, so I can't really tell you if this is smart or not smart. If you're going from a basic American perspective of the war, you should be condemning Russia. You should be.
Okay, so the resolution now. First of all, I used to be a big proponent of the UN until I grew up, and now I'm
Until
like,
I grew up. Wow.
and I realized that you know what, they don't do nothing. They could. They have a tremendous potential, but they don't do anything. So the resolution that we voted against and Russia voted against had a line in it: would concern the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by the Russian Federation has persisted for 3 years and continues to have devastating and long-lasting consequences, not only for Ukraine, but also for other regions and global stability, and calls for de-escalation and early cessation of hostilities and a peaceful resolution of the war against Ukraine. Great. Sounds good. We
Sounds
voted
nice.
We joined with Russia in voting against that. So we went with something more. I'm going to try and find it here. A simple historic statement. Okay, here we go. The United States has a draft going around of a resolution that they want, and it implores a swift end to the. There we go. The resolution the United States wants just says implores a swift end to the conflict and further urges a lasting peace between Ukraine and Russia. It mourns the tragic loss of life throughout the Russian-Ukraine conflict and reiterates the principal purpose of the United Nations, as expressed in the United Nations Charter, is to maintain international peace and security and to peacefully settle disputes. Look,
Okay.
this is a very smart move on President Trump's part. What it does, okay, let's say Trump says to the UN ambassador, yeah, vote yes on that first one. Then it's a resolution in the world stage pointing a finger and saying, we condemn you, Russia. Look, we've already all done that. It's been done a million times over. Again, fine. Trump is trying to get both parties to the table, and he realizes that he's got to play nice with either one. So he's going to say, listen, we want this more softer language, but also language that looks forward and not backwards. He wants language that looks forward to how can we solve the dispute as opposed to how can we point a finger blame again, a finger of blame one more time. The finger of blame has been pointing at Russia all this time.
2 years, about what? Almost three?
Three
Now.
years.
Yeah, 3 years.
Three
Wow,
years.
yeah, we made it 3.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I remember when this started. I was in university.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it's a political move to make, because with China, Russia, North Korea, countries like that, it's all about image and saving face on the world stage. And that's Putin's big concern. He can't be seen as someone giving up everything. He put all his money on red, spun the wheel. He needs something back for it, right? And if that's maybe his image or reputation or an economic deal,
You can't risk the destabilization of Russia because, as much as you maybe don't agree or even like Putin, which there are a lot of people, it is the country with the most nuclear weapons.
and there's no clear-cut successor to Putin.
Exactly, there's no clear-cut successor. Is it going to go underneath the military, oligarchy? You know what I mean? What happens? Is it going to be a form of democracy? But then again, you're going to have the mob again.
Yeah.
It's a country that is without I don't want to say without an authoritarian leader because that sounds not at all hopeful, but throughout their entire history, they've had a king, some leader who had complete control and authority. It's a country without direction.
The problem is that at the end of the Cold War, we spiked the football too soon. As the United States, we spiked the football and said, yay, we won the Cold War, which we did.
We did. We won. We had the right to spike that
But
football.
remember what Colin Powell once said. He said this to Dick Cheney and George W. Bush about invading Iraq. He goes, you break it, you buy it. And like with Iraq, Bush broke it and he bought it, and we continued to buy it for years after and have to deal with it. We won the Cold War. That broke Russia. And
we did not buy
we
it.
should have done a lot more. Europe should have done a hell of a lot more in making sure that country
They should have
transitioned.
integrated them within the EU
Yeah.
essentially immediately.
Immediately.
But at the same time, Russia wanted to hold on to its individualism.
It did, but
I think you could have found a way to manage that.
there should have been a better way to do it. And
We probably should have been
and
there
now we
longer
get
to
what we got.
facilitate.
We have what we have now. We have oligarchies. We have Putin. We have military industrial complex running the place. We have the mess that we have. And it's not the U.S.'s fault that Ukraine got invaded. Don't get me wrong. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying we have to do a better job sometimes when it comes to after we won, realizing what exactly we broke and what we should fix on the way out before we leave. Because it's not World War II anymore. Well, even during World War II, it's a lesson we learned. Europe was broken. What did we do? The Marshall Plan. We helped rebuild Europe.
Well, granted, that was Cold War. Yeah, I was like, we don't want the Russians going
still,
in.
yeah, but I mean, it still was brilliant because we.
No, yeah, we formed relationships out of that. I mean,
Yeah,
we integrated into
the
our
Marshall
system.
Plan was brilliant. So there we
No,
go.
I'm not gonna shit talk the Marshall Plan. I like the Marshall.
So I think it's a brilliant move. And then last but not least, hey, remember the last time when Germany was a conservative country that hated immigrants?
You know, I do remember this time. It didn't go so well.
It didn't go well at all.
Hey, listen.
When they wanted
They tried
this-
they tried the first time with the Empire, the second time with the no guys. Third time's the charm.
Yes. Well, Germany, who has a stellar record in history, has elected.
I have some German friends. They're
They-
nice people. Some of them are a little fanatic. If you get them going, some of them are like, if you get to know some, right? Maybe you drink a beer with them. Maybe you just hang out in an apartment and it's just you guys, right? And they're comfortable with you. Sometimes I let some
Then it
things
just starts
throwing
throwing out.
Yeah, you have to let things fly, and it's like, oh my god, I see where this comes from now.
What type of people are you hanging out with?
They're nice people, but then they turn out to be, they have
It's
their
always
own.
the night. Oh, dear.
They have their own beliefs. They're not like extremists. They're not extremists. They're not extremists. But some of them will have like a really hardline view on like a specific issue. And I'm like, that's really extreme. And then go to like something really neutral and moderate for like everything else. But it's like that one thing would just get them fired up.
Well,
It's like where's the Stahlhelm? They're marching back.
well,
And they all hate the French. That's
Germany
just
Germany went conservative because they had some of the same issues that we're having here in the United States. One, immigration. So yeah, they let everybody.
They let
Angela
everybody
Merkel let everybody in, especially from Syria during the Civil War.
economically, she was a great president. She helped keep the EU together financially when they had the Greek, I'll call it the Greek crisis, essentially.
Yeah.
The financial crisis
But
there.
now Germany's having a sour economy.
Yeah, they're having a sour economy because it's expensive to live there. Jobs are starting to now not pay as much, or there aren't as many jobs that are high paying anymore. You can't buy property. You can't even rent if you want to. It's expensive as could be. It's becoming hard to live there. That and the jobs that are available, most Germans don't want to take because they're too low paying, and the ones who are willing to take it get beat up by immigrants who are willing to take even less.
Well, so in a televised roundtable Sunday evening, Merz, who's going to be the new chancellor probably, also criticized. He criticized U.S. intervention in the German election. Well, actually, let's back up here.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm going to need you to go back here.
Let's get the party started. Merz, 69, told supporters as he declared victory at the CDU's party headquarters in central Berlin.
For those
An apparent nod. Yes. What's the CDU?
I believe it's Christians Democratic Union.
Yep. Christian Democratic Union, baby.
Yep.
Nod to wanting to get the coalition negotiations underway quickly as region grapples with U.S. President Donald Trump upending of Europe and U.S. relations.
In other words, we're not paying for your shit.
We're not paying for your shit no more. In a televised roundtable later Sunday, Merz also criticized U.S. intervention in the German election campaigning in recent days. The interventions from Washington were no less dramatic and drastic and ultimately outrageous than the interventions we have seen from Moscow. I don't think we interviewed. We might have sent a little propaganda. I don't.
They can't. They don't even have a military. No offense.
Yeah,
The Air Force don't work. Their Navy don't
Yeah.
exist.
So
Their
we-
Army don't exist.
He said, "We are under such massive pressure from two sides that my top priority is to create unity in Europe. My absolute priority will be to strengthen Europe as quickly as possible so that step by step we can really achieve independence from the United States." I got a lot to say about this in a second. Give me a
Okay, first things first.
I would never have believed that I would have to say something like that on television, but at the very least, after Donald Trump's statements last week, it is clear that the Americans, at least as part of the Americans in this administration, are largely indifferent to the fate of Europe.
Listen.
Go screw Mertz. If it wasn't for the caring and for the attention of the United States, there'd still be a fucking wall going through the middle of your fucking city in Berlin, all right? If it wasn't for the care of the United States, you'd still have your goose-stepping ancestors running around trying to kill as many Jewish people as possible. If it wasn't for the care of the United States, you wouldn't have your free health care, your defense in NATO, or anything else paid for, because you'd have to pay for it yourself, and your economy can't fucking sustain it. If it wasn't for the care of the United States and the Marshall Plan and delivering aid all those years, Europe would have been in a rubble heap for the next 20, and who knows what the hell would have came out after that. So if you want to talk about the United States and the things that we are concerned about with Germany, we're just concerned with you not putting on another fucking swastika and calling out people for what they're racially or religiously identifying as. Okay,
Or also what
so
you're saying
because
on
you've
the
done
internet.
it twice,
And what you're saying
I'm
on the
pretty
internet.
sure you'll do it 3 times. You dick. Anyway, sorry.
And
That's me.
also infringing on personal freedoms. Come on, people. First it starts with the personal freedoms. I mean, you can't even say certain things online.
Yeah,
You get arrested. You get arrested.
Free speech is gone in Germany. If you tweet something that they don't like, or they think is hateful, or they think is just not something that should be,
It's not with the
acceptable,
program. Get with the program.
you get fined or you go to jail. Thank you. So,
It gets put on a list, and you know
So,
how they get when they start their lists.
Mr. Friedrich Merz,
Oh my god!
fucking dickhead.
I was gonna say
Anyway,
something.
sorry.
I don't even remember what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
I don't even.
Sorry, I went too far. No, I didn't go too far.
No, I think it's all right. I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something. I think about the
I'm sorry.
election.
What was it? A German president on top of that wall that said "Mr. Gorbachev" tear down this wall? Was
No.
Was that Ronald Reagan? I think that was Ronald. Was it JFK that went to that wall and said "Ich bin ein Berliner"? Oh, I think.
Berliner.
All right, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just trying to remember this shit correctly. But what exactly happened? Wasn't it George W. Bush that called up Gorbachev and said, "Hey man, can we take down the wall?" And Gorbachev was like, "Yeah," and we took down the wall. I don't remember it being a German chancellor that made that fucking phone call. But anyways,
Actually, at first they were, I'm not saying they didn't want unity, but some of the governments were like, "Do we really want to unify with the poor East? We're gonna have to supplement them."
yeah, well,
Listen, also I want to say this: the last time Europe was under German unity
supremacy.
and supremacy economically,
If there's one
some
thing-
people were disappearing. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
No
People-
offense. If there's one thing I'm more worried about in Europe than Donald Trump, it would be Germany having more power than it could possibly ever have, right? Because
Well,
I think Germany should be like, hey, we're really sorry about what we've done. Every time this guy gets up, he should be like, I'm sorry we killed 6 million Jewish people. That's how you should start every speech.
Well, not
Before
even
you
just
start-
that. How about just
before-
wars? Just a couple
yeah,
world wars.
Before you
I know the
start
Austrians.
chastising Donald Trump because he's like, I don't want to pay your fucking electric bill anymore.
Listen. I know the Austrians technically started World War I, but the Germans signed the blank check and said, "Yeah, go with the war. We'll back you up no matter what. We don't care who you go against." You didn't write that check. Listen.
This is just Coca-Cola.
There's,
by the
the
way.
reason why. Okay, and this is true. If you live in Europe and you talk to Europeans will tell you this about the EU. The EU was created for a couple of reasons. One, for unity, but two, economic union, and three,
Sure.
the question of Germany being involved was the idea that, yes, Germany was going to, no matter what, recover economically and probably become one of the engines, if not the engine of Europe. The EU was going to be, hopefully, a way to prevent it from going against any European nation because it'd be part of the same system, the ecosystem. Its engine is connected to France, and France's engine is connected to Italy, so everyone's all connected to each other. So if one goes after the other, everyone falls apart.
I get that.
And no one, and also, if you know Europe, no one wants the Germans to be fully in control of anything. They don't trust them. There's a reason why the Luftwaffe doesn't work. The Netherlands are like, listen, we are in this because it's economically beneficial for everyone. But the second you start making more planes, we're gonna have problems.
Like in my master's studies, I had to study because I had a human rights focus along with a couple other focuses. One of the things I studied, the only words for it, and this is a brilliant phrase, called the organized rise of brutality. And every book I read that concerned itself with the organized rise of brutality, of human rights abuses, of mass disappearances, of genocides. Every book I read in that course was stemming out of Germany and Eastern Europe. So,
Granted, it's also because of one, historical tensions, but also two, after World War One, you took away the one system they always had, which was a Kaiser, a ruler, a king, and it was. I mean, it's the place where communism came from. Marx, Communist Manifesto.
that just makes me feel a whole lot better. Thanks.
No, I know. I'm just saying. Those people, once you take away their
But
main
orange,
system,
but again, Orange Man bad.
they
Orange
start
Man
looking-
bad.
They start looking for other ways to rule things. It doesn't ever end out well.
Should have left the wall up.
Did they? Listen, the place created. Okay, it didn't technically create fascism because that came from really Italy, but it created national socialism and communism.
I think they did well enough on their own after they got out of Italy.
Yeah,
Security, yes, fascism came from Mussolini in Italy. I get that.
It's very
But I
different
think-
from national
but it-
socialism.
but
Very
it-
different. Very different.
It's very different, but there's a point of like, hey, that's a good idea. I think I'll take that 15 steps ahead and be like, oh,
Mussolini was obviously like, I want to rebuild Rome, but also was like, economically, we got to rebuild this stuff.
yeah, so-
And Nazi Germany was like,
anyways, so that's your new
Everything.
that's going to be your new chancellor of Germany.
I have hope for Germany.
Right wing conservative.
I don't
And I'm fine with
know.
right wing conservative. I'm just not okay with someone who doesn't know their fucking history. So
I'm okay with the chancellor for the most, well, not for the most part, but for at least a good chunk. I'm concerned for like the other 40%. 60%, I think he'll do a good job in terms of within Europe, but beyond that, I think it becomes
I think
fishy.
Europe's just going to have to learn to live on their own. But anyways.
yeah.
All right, with that, we're going to call it a night. It's about 11 o'clock here where we are. We're going to play some video games, going to hang out with the wife, going to probably have another snack.
Gotta figure out how to do some things on.
Got to figure out how to do some things, and we're going to be back probably tomorrow.
I imagine tomorrow.
Imagine tomorrow. So with that, thanks everybody for joining. Thanks for listening. Thanks for understanding my rants or putting up with them. And from south of the border,
Salud.
salute. A huevo. We out of here.
Adios.
We out.